We might be streaming. I don't know.
It,
I could be lying to you.
it's well past his mom's bedtime. Come on, we're running behind.
Yeah, we might actually be streaming. You've just burped live on air.
Live upon the air.
Oh, I just texted her soon. I should say now.
Right now.
Uh,
We have been discussing the downfall of Western society. Welcome to Popcorn Tribunal. On tonight's episode, fuck.
wow. No, we're not discussing.
Do
fuck.
not say anything that the Secret Service will be interested in while you are live and our faces are on camera.
Will I ever be? Tonight we'll discuss, will Needless ever be allowed to fly into Ronald Reagan International
Bro,
ever
you're
again?
already on a watch list. I don't know what you're talking about. You were on a watch list before today, so.
On tonight's episode, we discuss hiding spots within the DC subway. DC
No, we
Metro.
don't. No, we don't.
No,
Nope. No, we don't.
Nope. Don't know
Good
what
places
you're
to
talking
buy
about.
Thai food and ammo.
On
Nope.
today's
On the next-
episode, we talk about how Tony's last name really doesn't have two L's and a Z in it.
Nope.
It's
actually,
a stage name.
His name is
Smith. Tony
Yep,
Smith.
Tony Smith.
Tony
Yep.
Smith.
White guy from upper Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Connecticut.
Oh, yeah?
Connecticut.
Scranton.
I'm
He's
from the
Connecticut.
Youper. I'm
Vermont,
a
I
Youper.
think, actually, right? Vermont?
Yeah, Connecticut would be very white guy.
Yeah.
Or Virginia Beach.
Weren't
if-
you?
Hey,
you
my
were in
name's
Immaculate
Chad.
Conception.
I'm from Virginia Beach.
Like two ultra
I
right
played
wing
tennis
white dudes like
and
accidentally bumped into
paddleball.
each other
Nope.
in Connecticut
Nope.
or Vermont,
No,
and your
Nope.
body just
Yeah,
appeared.
that's militia.
No,
You're
you
talking
said,
militia, right?
You said
there.
ultra right wing, and that's where we got to cut you off.
Yep. Nope. Not happening. Are we gonna get hit with some music here sometime soon?
What music?
Hey.
Everything said before this cannot be used in a court of law.
Yes. This is not. This
Popcorn
is not.
Tribunal.
This is the opinion of Popcorn Tribunal's individual hosts and does not reflect the beliefs of our
Popcorn
sponsors.
Tribunal.
Nope.
Tribunal.
It
Saying
sure
Tribunal.
doesn't.
Popcorn Tribunal is not responsible for the comments made by its producer. If at any time you have felt
And
offended
only
by
its
producer Chris's
producer.
comments, please fuck yourself and
Whoa.
move on to the next movie
This is
podcast.
gonna be an interesting episode.
Yes.
I tell you what.
This is
Next-
gonna be an interesting episode.
Next tribunal you see our faces in, thanks to Chris, it might not be in
Oh.
I'm going to be.
studio.
Welcome to Military Tribunal
Nope.
with your host.
Wrap
We're
it
gonna
up.
be recording this from the guest room at the Indiana State Penitentiary.
Yeah. It's gonna
'Cause
be.
that's where they sent Mike Tyson.
We'll get a. What is it? A monthly visit? Right.
Conjugals.
Yep.
Conjugals to record our podcast.
Conjugal podcasting.
This whole week
Chris
has
has
felt
to
like
be
a
naked
conjugal
while we're
visit.
recording.
You know what? Honestly, we should
Because you've
just-
been getting fucked every
we
day.
we should discuss a conjugal podcasting merch line.
What? What?
Can we get bright
I
orange?
still want to. I don't know if I'm gonna. I can't sell it under the popcorn umbrella, but I'm literally going to go home and buy that domain. I'm
Oh, I
not
thought you were
going
going
to
to say something about a
I'm not going to say it
Oh
out
yeah,
loud.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
a
yeah.
I am
flashlight
going to
with
go
a
home
bowl
and
of
buy
popcorn
that
on top.
domain and
Yeah.
design some shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
So yeah,
Well, it's Wednesday.
it has been an interesting last hour.
Yeah, for,
That is
sure
for
has.
sure.
And it's Wednesday.
Someone has had a difficult week and a difficult couple of days, so we offer him loads of grace.
Yes.
And
Especially
we have also turned off his microphone for this episode. No, I'm just
Whatever.
kidding.
he's in control and we can't stop
He's
him.
in control and we can't stop him.
If I blink twice in rapid succession, that means we're in danger.
We are coming to you live from the Gulf of America.
Woo!
Oh, get out of my house.
I already said that.
I guess
I
I
said
get
that
it.
last week.
Oh, did
go.
you?
I
Oh,
said that
I'm
last
sorry.
time.
Sorry.
Coming to you live from
Coming to you live from what's Mount
Mount
Denali
McKinley.
called again? Yeah, Mount McKinley.
Coming to you live from our studio at the top of Mount McKinley, because that's definitely at the top of the list of things we should be
Yes.
worried about.
Oh, you know.
And tonight is ladies' night because apparently we're all girls.
we have to get a little bit of the political out of the way at the top.
This isn't
to-
even political. This is
No.
just idiocy.
Well, yeah.
Right?
We got to get a little bit out of the way to
There's
save
0
Chris.
point to renaming the Gulf of Mexico, 0 point to renaming Mount Denali. Let's be fair. There was no reason to change its name to begin with. Second of all, how do you write an executive order that says that everybody is a girl because that's what they are at conception?
Yeah,
Like, how does that happen?
I'm cool with it. So welcome to Popcorn Tribunal.
I'm a lesbian now.
Ladies' Night.
I'm a lesbian now.
Ladies' Night now and forever. You
Yeah.
can't take this from me. I've been sick of being a white man for
The best
a
part
couple
is
of
that
years
in
now.
order to change that, he actually has to rescind that executive order and reissue another executive order. So the likelihood of being a repeat offender exists.
Yeah, they mess it up. They mess it up a second time.
It'll be
Listen, we
interesting for
gotta say this at the top. Otherwise, Chris will say much worse later.
I mean, we don't have
What
to
do you
say
mean?
anything. Let's be fair.
What do you mean, Chris? I didn't say
No.
anything.
Why would I say anything?
Let's not open up the opportunity.
That's fair.
We'll just let
Welcome to Popcorn Tribunal, a podcast about pop
Welcome to your
culture,
favorite fishing podcast.
movies, TV,
streaming
sometimes,
services.
sometimes music. We've talked about
Sometimes
music
music.
before. And occasionally the site of Chris's breakdown.
But
I
that
don't know what
usually
you mean.
happens off the air.
Why would I
so-
have a breakdown?
You wouldn't. That's what
I don't know
I'm
what you
saying.
mean.
All right. Well, let's start off. We're gonna talk a little bit about some movie news and some industry news.
Yeah,
Obviously it is 2025.
it sure is.
We have a newly elected president. We have
Do you have a boo
a
on the
Nazi who is getting an office in the White House.
soundboard?
It is a crazy world right now, and the reality is we are here to bring it back into focus, and that focus is going to be on movies, going to be on video games, going to be on whatever we can do to help you not think about the bullshit that's going on around you. So
Yeah.
that said, let's talk a little bit. You know what? Let's skip the movie news piece and let's discuss something that has been in the news a little bit. So it's award season. We've already started seeing some awards, Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, all that's been happening. And then we discover that the reason that SAG went on strike
Mm-hmm.
was about the inclusion of AI into their union
Yes.
agreement, right?
Yeah.
And then we discovered that 2 of the movies in award season have made intensive use of AI
Yeah. One slightly more egregiously
One
from
more
what I've been
egregious
led
than
to
the other.
understand.
because he's already won a Golden Globe for the role,
Yeah.
and the movie has won. But I don't know that we can denigrate the quality of the movie based on AI, but the quality of a performance
Sure.
that is heavily influenced by AI.
Yeah. Well,
That I have a real problem.
I
with.
mean, here's the thing, right? It's hard to say if you can judge the
We
quality
can-
of the movie.
So what's the movie?
It's The Brutalist. The
Right.
Brutalist is the one specifically we're talking about, where Adrian Brody's already won awards,
Yes.
but it was revealed that AI was used to touch up his Hungarian accent because he was having trouble with the accent
it
in
was
the movie.
bad.
It was bad. So now here's the thing: it's kind of hard to say. Does that affect the quality of the movie?
Yes, it does.
But when he's
No, your accent is an entire part of your
Exactly.
performance.
there's a lot of people who are trying to say, well, does it detract
Who
from the-
can we compare? Who can we compare? I mean, how many British actors do American
Sure.
voices better than some Americans?
You know what? Fuck. How many? Charlie Hunnam is so bad at accents that I can't tell if he has a bad British accent
Yeah.
even anymore.
Yeah.
And he still powers through it. The thing is, I've seen people argue and say, like, well,
Jamie Foxx didn't even try it in the Robin Hood movie.
fucking Denzel didn't even try
Right?
it in Gladiator
In
2.
Gladiator 2.
And so, I've seen people argue, like, well, does it take away from the movie as a whole? Yes, because
Yeah.
he's the lead.
Yeah.
He's the lead of the movie.
He's
and
the award-winning lead.
Yeah, and whether or not the rest of the movie is fantastic,
Yeah.
if Adrian Brody was in that movie with like, okay, hi, we're gonna go do this now.
Okay.
It's gonna take you out of the movie if
that
you're having
reminds
a,
me of Bartok. You remember Bartok?
yeah,
Oh, sure. Pick on the bats.
Oh,
They're
sure.
small, easy targets.
like if you're having an intense scene and he leans and is like, I've never loved anyone like I've loved you. That's a very different
Well,
movie.
Here's a good way to look at it, right? So we have remind me of the name of the guy that played Gollum.
Andy Serkis.
Okay, you have Andy Serkis, right? Andy Serkis has specifically not been nominated for performances
Yeah.
because he's a motion capture guy.
Yeah.
Motion capture now is literally just putting a skin over the top of an actor's performance.
Yeah. I mean,
And he's amazing at
Yeah.
what he does, right? But because he's digitally generated as a character,
mhm.
he's not eligible for awards. How is that any different?
I mean, fuck. Why I can't remember the name of.
But
who-
how is it any different, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of who did the music for Dune. All of a sudden, it's not.
Uh,
Hans Zimmer, right?
Yeah,
It
I
is Hans
think
Zimmer.
yeah,
He was disqualified because they said his score for
because he
Dune
used
2
a portion of Dune
used
1,
portions from Dune 1, but then you're gonna give an award to a man
who's using
and then kind of not quite as egregious because it wasn't as widespread, but the other movie that's facing some backlash for it is Amelia Perez.
Which, by the way, the singing in it is shit. Anyways, I
And-
hate to say that, right? Because I don't
It's
like
not great.
I don't like to shit on movies, especially
Sure.
movies with a powerful message.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, and I'll be honest with you, it's beautifully filmed.
Yeah, yeah.
But the only person that's really any good in it is Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. And I mean, they used AI to touch up the singing
Yeah.
in a musical that beat Wicked.
Yeah.
Used AI to touch up the singing.
Mind you, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are singing
Yeah.
live when they're recording.
Cynthia Erivo damn near damaged her voice to hit.
She's wearing a corset, wearing a rig, flying around, and singing live,
Yeah.
and gives that amazing performance.
And
And Amelia Perez is like, yeah, let's just touch it up with AI.
that actually
It pisses me off. Like,
that
it
is-
pisses me off.
like it's equally, even though there was more use of it in Brutalist, it's equally frustrating to me
Yeah.
because you're now looking at people were like, how did Amelia Perez beat Wicked?
Yeah.
And they used AI?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. To me, it's disqualifying.
I agree. I not only is it disqualifying,
Or they need to give Andy Serkis awards for the work
Yeah.
that he's done.
it's almost one of those things now where in the future, like if Adrian Brody's nominated, I'm not going to take him as seriously.
I will say this. Adrian Brody has won an Oscar before,
Mhm.
but it was like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you say that he's a good enough actor when the
Sure.
reality is he wasn't,
Yeah.
which is why they had to use AI
Yeah.
generation for his accent.
Can I ask you a question too? This is while reading about this. I've just seen
Did
comments.
you just say, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question?
While reading about
No.
the Brutalist, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Okay.
While reading about the
Hang
Brutalist
on,
stuff,
your beard is doing something really fucking weird.
is it
Yeah.
okay? While reading about the Brutalist stuff, I came across like a couple of comments of people saying like, "Oh, well, Adrian Brody's kind of a shit person anyway." Did Adrian Brody do something that I don't know
Adrian
about?
Brody is apparently a shit person.
he?
I don't know the details,
Okay,
and obviously we don't kink shame.
sure.
But
Wait, is it something like that?
also, I mean, if we're talking about shit people, it's interesting because we're gonna talk a little bit later about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation with It Ends With Us. But a conversation on Reddit today turned into, oh, Anna Kendrick is also a shit person. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So I've randomly heard stories about her like kind of being like a little bit standoffish.
They
with
said
people.
that she was that way on Pitch Perfect,
Sure.
but she still has friendships with everyone from Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those things.
Yeah. I honestly, I'd never heard the Adrian Brody thing, so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and I kind of forgot about it till just now.
Yeah.
I have heard people say that a little bit about Anna Kendrick, but a lot of time if someone, if
Everyone that I have heard speaks very highly of
Sure.
who, from George Clooney to
Yeah.
Kristen Bell and
Oh,
Dax Shepard.
Yeah.
You know, all of these people have done nothing. Brittany Murphy's like her best friend.
Yeah.
And they met on Pitch Perfect. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's kind of like
how are you a shit person and you have that kind of a friend group?
Yeah.
To be fair, Blake Lively, kind of a shit person, friends with Taylor Swift,
That's fair.
who
yeah.
is anything but a shit person.
Yeah,
you
sure,
know?
sure.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's almost maybe a little bit similar to like when when Wicked was getting big and people were like, well, Cynthia Erivo kind of sucks, and she's just kind of petty and fights with people online. That's not the worst thing you could
Which
be.
I fucking love.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
love
like,
that she's like, if I want to wipe my ass with these 6-inch long nails, I'll wipe my ass with these 6-inch long nails.
Yeah, it's like it's just one of those things where you could be like,
Is he texting you?
who?
Oh, I thought that was Chris texting you.
No,
You,
no,
you keep glancing in there over my
No,
shoulder.
no,
and
I
I'm
felt
getting a
my-
complex.
No, I felt my phone buzz, and so I was looking to see what it
Mm.
was, but it was a Discord message. So
You have your notifications turned on for Discord? Yeah. Oh, that would drive me crazy.
a lot of people I know use Discord.
I'm in like
instead of texting.
700 servers though.
Oh,
so
I
it would
mute. I mute pretty much everything.
I was gonna say my phone would be dead.
The only Discord notifications I really get anymore are like DMs.
Gotcha, okay.
So like the personal messages.
What it comes down to is, and the question, and maybe if you're watching and you want to tweet at us at Popcorn Tribunal,
Or text us.
or
Mom,
if
Dad.
you're listening on the spot on your Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Message us at Popcorn Tribunal. Go ahead and tweet at us, and we'll follow up with you. Should the use of AI to improve a performance be disqualifying from a performance-based award?
Chris is nodding his head. Yes.
Well, okay, like best actor, best actress, that kind of thing. Best song, yes.
Yeah.
Best picture, not necessarily, right? Because it doesn't change the overall theme of the picture.
I guess to me it depends on what it's used for. Because I mean, that's one of those things where I'm not a big fan of AI and
Right, but if we think about it, like the Star Wars movies now are all generated through AI.
Yeah. So
and
here's
that
the
kind of
thing:
stuff.
like,
I mean,
if you were to come in and say like, oh, all these special effects, we actually fed them through an AI filter and they did it, then yes, I think that's disqualifying. If people are saying
but
like,
that would
oh,
be disqualifying for best picture or best
yeah,
director.
I would agree. I would say that, yeah. But if people
I don't,
come,
I don't know about best director. Maybe
it's the
best
degree
picture.
of usage, I think. Where if
Sure.
someone says like, "Oh, these effects are entirely,"
If you have
generated
an
by
entire
AI.
character that is generated by AI, you are
Yeah,
disqualified.
but there's also something that people kind of forget about whenever they're like, "Oh, fuck all AI." AI has been used for years for, CG programs
Every
use
picture
AI
you
to
take in
help
your iPhone
correct
is
things. Yeah,
touched with AI.
video games use. So I mean, there's healthy amounts of AI that can be used. The problem is cases like this where it clearly oversteps.
Yeah. But it directly affects a single individual's performance.
Yes.
To me, that individual is disqualified
Yes.
from a performance award.
Yeah. No, I 1,000% agree.
His Hungarian accent was great. Yeah, it was AI generated.
Yeah.
What?
And that's an important part of the role.
Yeah.
Like that's not just like a thing. My mom says absolutely it should be disqualifying. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
I'm assuming that Dad also agrees.
Thanks. But that's kind of the whole thing of what the SAG strike was about. I mean, if we think about it, okay, Heath Ledger passed away in the middle of making Mr. Megorium's
I was actually
Imaginarium.
wrong about that. It's the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. We
Sure,
were
that
talking
one.
about this earlier today.
Yeah, the Mr. Megorium one is the one that had Natalie Portman.
Natalie
in it.
Portman and Dustin Hoffman.
Right.
I was looking
Okay.
at the IMDb for it, and I was like, "This is not the
Yeah.
movie I thought it was."
But you get the point. So the point is there, instead of hiring 3 additional actors
Yeah,
to finish the role, they could have used AI generation to generate a character.
sure. And I mean, I've been critical of this in Star Wars lately, where it's like you have actors right in front of you who look exactly like
Well,
young
they
Mark.
generated James
James Earl Jones.
yes, James Earl Jones' voice.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got
But he signed
yes,
permission.
he
to
was okay
AI.
with it.
Before he
wanted to-
died, he
yeah.
actually did.
He wanted to be attached to Vader beyond, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, they've got an actor for the video games who sounds dead on like him. So I would almost prefer they use him. But if James Earl Jones was okay with it, I'm okay with it. But like like in Book of Boba Fett, they brought in Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
The actor that was playing him looked exactly like young Mark Hamill. There was no reason to put zombie CG Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker face on there. He looked perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean the same with Rogue One, I kind of get it for, Grand Moff Tarkin because he was a bigger part of the movie. But why have the creepy CG Leia at the
Yeah.
end? There
Yeah.
was no need for it.
I just again, to me, it shits on everything that is about
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah. No, I
So-
agree. I agree. Look
Yeah.
at that. We're in agreement on a thing.
That's good because we're not going to be in agreement about this next piece.
You don't know.
All right, so I love you. Like
Okay.
you are one of my best friends.
Yes.
But the one thing that frustrates me is your research method. And we talked a little bit about this.
Sure.
And I'm not going to get as loud with you as I got with you earlier today. I might though. Who knows?
People downstairs at work were like, "What's going on with you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it's actually a friendly conversation."
So the Blake Lively Justin Baldoni thing has been interesting to me because I had zero desire to watch that movie.
Mhm.
We were home on some time off over the break, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch the movie. So I watched it. I didn't, the movie was fine. It felt really weird because the portrayal of domestic violence in that movie almost makes it sexy.
I've heard people complain about
And
that.
and I fucking hated it, right? Because
yeah.
Baldoni has a persona. I'll use the term has a persona instead of he is. Has the persona of being in support of causes,
Yes.
right? First movie was about cystic fibrosis. Next movie was about a young man with cancer.
Fibrosis, which one?
5 feet apart, 6 feet apart.
Is that the one with I have only just seen this for the first time in like reading stuff. Is that the one people accuse him of stealing the screenplay from a man who was like dying and then like being like, this was my screenplay?
No,
Oh, I
not
saw a
that I've
random
ever heard
comment
of.
about that and I couldn't find anything more about it. And I was like, someone must know something about
I
this.
think there's a movie about a boy who always wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
And in the movie, when he died, it was him going to space, right? That was how
Oh, okay.
right? He died, but in the movie, it was portrayed that he went to space.
Sure.
I think that's the movie that you're talking
Okay.
about because it started out with critical success, and then that story came out, and
Gotcha.
it just died.
Yeah, I had never heard that before, and I saw a
I
random.
don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I saw like a random comment about it today, and I tried to like Google it, but there was no combination of
And that's
search terms I could get
it's
to.
driving me crazy with this whole thing because there's people who have clearly picked sides.
Yes.
And you have always been one of those people, and rightfully so, believe the victims, and I get it. You are definitely what we would call woke, right? And and I'm fine with that. We're friends because we have a very similar belief system.
I'm your little DEI hire.
Because we have a very similar belief system, right? Neither of us are overtly religious, but at the same time, we're clearly on the liberal side of the spectrum. I'm probably a little more liberal. You're a little more progressive, kind of. I don't know. I wouldn't say centrist. But
I am definitely not a centrist.
No, you're
I'll
a little
fucking
farther
kill you
on
if
the
you ever
outside.
say that again.
Yeah, you're in the other direction. So I started off reading the Blake Lively complaint.
Yeah.
And there were a few red flags for me off the bat because I worked in marketing and PR for a period of time. Red flag number 1, it was released around the holidays.
Sure.
Strikes as a pure PR move. When you want to cause some drama, you release a PR suit. Here's why I call it a PR suit. It's not a criminal suit. There was not a criminal complaint filed.
Yeah.
Even though she claimed sexual assault and sexual harassment in her complaint.
Yes.
So in a civil complaint, you can basically say anything you want. And the burden of proof falls on the person that you're accusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I can say you're really a woman and you showed your vagina to me. And you have to prove that you're not a woman and that you didn't show your vagina
close
to
to
me.
my face.
Sorry. And so that was the number 2 thing that Red Flag did as a PR move. It was a civil complaint. And it felt to me like she's taking advantage of the persona that Justin Baldoni has.
Yeah.
Of being this soft, mild-mannered, quiet guy. He'll cry at the drop of a hat. Really in touch with his emotions, right? Always about women, believe the victim, right? And those are things that he's said and lived for the last 10 to 15 years that he's had a career in Hollywood, right? He's not as successful, but he's making a living as a writer, actor, director in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so to me, right off the bat, it felt like she was taking advantage of that because it was a civil complaint.
Okay.
And there are many people in the industry that side with me. Sure. Because of the timing and how it was filed. And then, out of the blue, Baldoni sues the New York Post.
Was it New York Post or New York Times?
Was it the Post or
I thought it was
Times?
Times.
I think it was the Times. You're right. Who she had gone to. And the reason that he sued them was because they edited the text messages that they put in their complaint.
Yeah.
And in the article that they wrote. Again, another red flag about PR. They wrote an article about it.
Okay.
Before he'd even had a chance to respond to it. What's Mom saying? What?
No, don't worry about it.
What'd she say?
No, it wasn't my mom. It was my dad, but I don't know what he's talking about. So I'll have to text him in a little bit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, so when Justin filed a suit against New York Times, I was like, that's interesting.
Sure.
Okay. Now, understanding that he has to fight the civil complaint in court.
Sure.
And step 1 to do that is fight the PR move that she made by releasing it with the New York Times. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let's read this. So I read it, and it showed screenshots, actual screenshots of text messages versus, oh, I'm going to draw a green bubble. I'm going to draw a blue bubble and pretend like they're actual conversations.
Sure.
Which is what the New York Times had in their article. And Justin's posting actual screenshots. Like, I screenshot it on the phone. Here's the image. And it's showing pieces of the conversation that have been edited out. Now, let me be honest with you. I've gone through and deleted portions of text messages to make myself look a little better.
Sure.
It's easy to do, blah, 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 right? But the fact that you have screenshots and then fake looking screenshots,
Sure.
right? That's, again, red flag, right? So, what gave me another indicator was when he then filed suit against Blake Lively, the PR firm, and fucking Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Right? So what you've done there is you're standing at the foot of Goliath and you just put a rock in your sling, right?
Sure.
Because Ryan Reynolds is a giant in the industry, right? He's the one that got William Morris to fire him and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So 179 pages is the complaint that Baldoni filed. Here's the interesting piece on another thing that makes me err to the side of Baldoni. He didn't respond to her civil complaint. He filed his own complaint based on the preponderance of evidence. So the proof that he had to do, he used as a countersuit instead of just as a response to her complaint, which says to me, I got receipts. And those receipts exist and they're there. And they're conversations with crew members, they're conversations with his PR people going, no, this isn't us. They're burying themselves and trying to blame it on us. Right? It's things like that. And then to see Taylor Swift separating herself from Blake Lively after she's named in the complaint.
Sure.
You know, and it's things like that that tell me there's some shit going on. Here's the one additional piece that is really confusing to me. So Colleen, who wrote the book, deleted her Instagram and everything. And this is something on a platform where it's been very heavy, lively supporting.
Sure.
Why is she going to delete her Instagram if everyone that is supporting her on Instagram is supporting the Blake Lively side of things? She doesn't have anything to hide. That was interesting to me. But the one additional piece is when Baldoni released that video, right? So if you've seen the movie and you haven't,
I have not.
And I have, that scene is early in her relationship with Ryle. In the book, Ryle, she has a tattoo on her neck. Ryle's obsessed with the tattoo on her neck. That tattoo is a relic of her relationship with her ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
And she never tells him. So from the jump, he's obsessed with that tattoo. And so in the clip that he released, they're literally talking about the scene, and she's telling him why talking during the slow motion scene is going to be better because that's how she and Ryan are. And he's like, he's being nice. It's like, oh, that's cute. She's like, oh, it's not cute. Like, okay, who gives a fucking shit? And then at the end of the scene, he says cut, and it's a complete demeanor change.
Sure.
It's clear that all of that chemistry is an act. But here's the problem. He's not the only one forecasting chemistry in that scene. She's just as involved in that chemistry.
Sure.
Here's what I believe is going on. I believe that there was a line crossed, potentially by both of them, because the chemistry, they hated each other, and the chemistry is still palpable on screen. And Blake Lively's not that good of an actor. So I believe that there was a point in production where Ryan Reynolds discovered that his wife had feelings for Justin Baldoni. And he put his foot down, and that's when he forced her to write all of these complaints and put together this list of things that he clearly wrote. And this was after she was finally able to view the dailies so that Ryan Reynolds could do these things and make these writing changes. All of these things, right? So I think there was probably a little too much chemistry. Ryan Reynolds is feeling a little like, hold up, what the fuck? So I think what's going to end up happening is I think William Morris is going to drop Blake, and simultaneously Ryan is probably going to file for divorce. And I think they're going to settle the Baldoni lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, I get. I mean, here's the thing. I mean,
what's today's date, real quick? January 22nd. Just remember that I said that. That's what I think is going to
Sure.
happen.
I mean, you're definitely not the first person I've seen while like looking into this who was saying like they thought there was like, oh, maybe she caught feelings thing. I'm gonna be honest. In a
Be honest. Have you read the complaint?
Oh no, I mean I'm fully open with that. I have not,
And that's what drives me crazy.
I have not gone through and read the whole complaint because I'll be honest with you, I'm a very slow reader and I don't feel like I have the time. It's a similar thing to I don't read every new bill that's introduced
Good.
into government, but
right.
I'm,
that's a fucking problem because all you have to take is someone else. It's like going to church and saying those are God's words. No, they're not. They're a man's interpretation
Tony,
of a book that was translated from some tablets.
All right, hey, you shut the fuck up because you got to say your whole thing. And what did I say? Okay, cool,
good.
Got it. Yep. Listen, I don't think there is anything wrong with not being able to read cover to cover every single thing that comes out. If you have sources that you trust that give unbiased breakdowns of shit, okay? Now, obviously, there's a lot of bias on either side. I've seen a lot of people who are like super hard in either camp on this one. When it comes to what the fuck are you doing?
Nothing.
I sat very patiently and listened to you say.
I know, but it frustrates me so much that you form opinions without physical research.
There's still
it's not just you. Everyone that does that.
Do you understand that research can exist without reading the
No.
entire thing cover to cover? Anyway,
if the evidence
shut
exists,
the fuck up, Tony.
research it.
Let other people talk every now and then, you
sorry.
fucking diva.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I am not super comfortable speculating in a case that I mean, I don't know a ton about it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, well, one of them's right. I'll be honest, just up front, I think they're both a little shady. I think there's shady shit that's been presented from both. Well, let me get there. Let me get to it.
Why?
But I will say
why? No. Don't say but and move on. Tell me why.
I'm not going to move on.
Tell me why.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
Don't say they're shady if you don't have evidence.
Hey, let me talk. You got to say
we're no better than a Reddit thread surrounded by a bunch of Blake Lively fan
Do you want to do a podcast or do you want to do a speech?
I need you to hear what I'm saying and why it drives me crazy.
Now,
why does it drive me crazy?
Because you don't believe I've done the research.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh my God, Tony.
Your research is based on someone else's research.
Okay.
How is that scientific or logical in any capacity?
Tony, if you read a paper about, if you read an article about climate change,
God, you're such a conservative answering my question.
Do you then go and read the entire paper about the...
Way to dodge the fucking question.
Motherfucker, let other people, you are not the only person whose opinion is valid.
But do you understand?
I do understand.
You put on a raincoat in the fucking shower.
I do understand. Now, do you understand? Shut up and let other people say the things they want to say, or do you want this to be your monologue?
For those of you listening, we're smiling as we're saying.
I can have Chris cut my mic if you just want to be the only one talking. Go. In a case where one of the primary accusations is of sexual harassment, am not super comfortable speculating on whether or not Blake Lively secretly fell in love with Justin Baldoni and he rejected her and then she was like, well, fuck you, man. I'm not super comfortable making that speculation. But because I don't know either of these people.
But you're super comfortable speculating that he actually sexually harassed her?
That's not what I said.
That's why I'm asking.
No, I'm not.
It was a question.
No, I'm not. Now, here's the thing. I have said I see some of the texts he has posted through his law or his legal team has posted whatever, and I'm like, okay, that's not looking super great on her part. There's also a history of Blake Lively kind of bullying people on sets, so I'm not
on sets live on camera interviews.
That too. But so I'm not if you look at me and say, hey, well, Blake Lively was kind of bullying people on set, I'm not going to be like, well, that's a shock. I'm not, whatever. But I'm also not, because of that, going to discount automatically that he may have also been up to some shit on the set. Now, to correct me if I'm wrong, has her legal team, says well, the evidence is going to show. Have they released any evidence prior to the going to court?
What they're saying is that every piece of evidence that Justin Baldoni has released is typical of an abusive man.
Okay. And
the Darvos is what they call it, I think.
Yeah.
Domestic assault.
And now here's the thing. I'm also not comfortable just automatically speculating and saying, well, he's definitely an abusive man.
And I'm raised by women. I have
Sure.
4 sisters and a single mom. So I am on the side of women
No, okay, I
in
mean,
most
sure.
occasions. I just want to put that out there.
I'm not, again, not knowing either of these people, I'm not comfortable reading that and being like, oh, well, Justin Baldoni is definitely a monster and an abuser. I won't also deny that people
Such
who,
a fucking flip flopper. Pick a
well, just
side,
because
bitch.
I don't know enough about it, just because, I was starting my sentence over again when I didn't need to. I don't need to do that. Um, I don't feel comfortable automatically condemning him. I do agree that when I've seen some people who are language experts or like news like reporters who come out and be like, well, what he's doing does kind of fit the pattern, but it doesn't mean that's what it is. You know what I mean? So I can understand why people who are
It's a pattern because it looks like normal behavior.
yeah, well,
So
sure.
the problem is it normal behavior or is it the pattern?
Well, exactly,
Right?
and that's what I'm saying. In this case, I don't know either of these people. I obviously, like I told you, I haven't read the claim. I've seen a lot of like news reporting
Right.
on it. I've seen a lot of professionally written and researched articles that have supported both sides.
You said something the other day that drove me
Go
crazy.
ahead. Go ahead. Say what-
You said, I have heard all of these things about how rude and mean and blah, blah, blah Blake Lively is on set. And I haven't really heard a bunch about Justin Baldoni. But you said it in almost a throwaway, like Justin Baldoni is nothing compared to her. You didn't mean it, but that's the mentality that a lot of people have. Is that Blake Lively
guess.
is this big superstar. Why would she try and take little man Baldoni and accuse him of things?
I guess. I mean, I remember.
Which is why I think there's a bigger connection that happened during the movie. And
sure.
it's not, I'm not going to give you the dailies, oh, spoiled girl gets pissed off. There's
Sure.
something bigger there that is causing her to act like a jilted girlfriend. That's what's happening here is her behavior to me comes across as a jilted partner.
I guess. And I mean, again, like I said, not knowing a ton about the case or about them personally, I'm not super comfortable making that comparison when she's making
I'm
the
not,
accusation.
I don't have a problem with you not, like, in our multiple conversations though. You've always kind of erred on the side of,
Well, so and
you've always kind of erred on the side of I believe the victim before anything else.
well, sure.
And that is where I go, this is why I ask you to look at the evidence instead of someone else's evidence of the
Sure.
evidence and say, hold up. You filed this as a lawsuit for $400 million. There's got to be truth to it, or you are fucked.
I mean, yeah. So my thing
Where
is
the civil complaint, you can file anything,
Sure.
and they have to prove it. That's
Well, but
that's
that's
why
the
I
thing
identified
now.
the difference.
But also now, has Blake Lively not countersued to
No.
an actual like above? I had read a bunch of articles saying that they
Her
were
lawyers said that they're considering a countersuit.
okay. So my thing is, for everything I've looked at, that's like the video that it was like 9-minute video or something like that, and the texts that were released.
12-minute video.
I don't necessarily. There's nothing in there where I'm like, oh, okay, that's concrete. Like he's doing something. But I've also not seen any of it where I'm like concrete. Oh, okay, he's exonerated. I kind of want to see what happens when it goes to trial and
It
things
won't.
have to come out. You're probably right. So I mean, I haven't seen personally anything that makes me go to one side or the other. What I will say that I think you probably get frustrated with me about, and I'll be honest,
There's one thing that I get frustrated with you
well,
about.
yeah,
That one thing. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is just fun, playful banter.
well, yeah, no, and I can agree that in situations like this, I am probably more likely off the drop to start at a more sympathetic standpoint for someone who would be the victim of like sexual harassment. So
Sure, I
in a
started
case
there
like this-
too.
In a case like this where that's what she's accusing of, I'm more than happy to admit, because I'm not delusional, that I'm going to start from a standpoint where
Yeah.
I'm more sympathetic.
You and I
towards
are on
her.
the same page with that.
I think probably because I'm at a point now where I'm like, neither one of you has really said anything to super tip me.
But you don't know that.
Well, I mean, I know that nothing I've seen has like
But
super
you
tipped me in either
this
direction.
This is what drives me crazy is that you say something like that,
Sure.
and we have a platform,
Yeah.
and you say something like that, but you haven't read the complaints.
Yeah.
Everything that you're saying is based off of what someone else has said about the complaint.
Sure.
If you watch a TMZ clip, they're clearly on Blake Lively's side. ironically, everyone at TMZ is repped by William Morris.
Oh, I did like when I was Googling I Googled something earlier about
Yeah.
this, and I did see a TMZ article where they were like tearing Blake Lively up a bit. I think maybe there's some like flexion.
The point that I'm trying to make is that you and I are on the same page to start.
Sure.
But I'm one of those people that if someone talks about a bill in Congress, I go to the congressional website and I read the fucking bill.
Yeah, I mean, now
instead of listening to MSNBC or Fox.
Well, sure.
Or
And now let
whatever.
me be clear. When it comes to political stuff, I do read.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No,
you just don't believe that.
Do you know how many times you've come into the office and been like, "Yeah, I saw that on Hassan" or something?
I mean, I do say
and that's
I see
why
stuff
I
on
give you
Hassan
shit
too.
about Hassan.
I do say I see stuff on Hassan too. Listen, Tony, I do the reading when it comes
you
to
and
politics.
I start on the same page.
Yes,
and it may be a generational thing, and I'm accepting of that, right?
okay.
But the difference is that I want to have an argument, but
Sure.
when I have the argument, I want to feel confident in the basis of my logical conversation.
Well, yeah, I
Right?
mean, same.
It's not about being right, because if I'm throwing a logical argument out there and I'm wrong, I'll accept it.
Sure.
But I don't want to have an argument based on logical facts and realities with a conversation around, well, I was watching Aaron Parnas on YouTube and he said that he saw a report on Fox News about this.
Who's Aaron Parnas?
It's just an example.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's not the source.
Well, sure.
Right. And this is where social media, like I said, it could be generational. This is where that disconnect is happening.
Sure.
And why we have a misinformation war happening, because one person forms an opinion. This is why I compare it to church. Someone can read a verse in the Bible and form an opinion on that verse in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Gay people are against the Bible, or trans people don't exist, right? All these things, right? But there's clearly Bible verses that identify things that are different than that. But they formed an opinion and formed an entire religion around these feelings and beliefs. But if you read the text clearly doesn't say that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So that is what drives me crazy. And
Okay.
I love you. I do. Like, you are
Sure.
one of my trusted friends. You are probably the person that I have no problem talking to about anything. And again, we start from point A,
Yeah.
but we have a very different way of getting to point G.
Sure. I think, you know what? I think, you know, you get frustrated with me in that sense in conversations. I think I do get frustrated with you in these conversations, because I do think that sometimes you assume that I haven't actually done. Now, in this case, I haven't read the filing, that's fine.
But let's have we'll have an honest question here.
Sure.
How many times have you stated something and then through continued conversation discovered that maybe you were wrong, and in turn, after doing a little more additional research, you understood what I was saying, not necessarily being right or
Sure.
wrong,
I mean, yeah.
but there's a
I think-
perspective that's visible.
I think every person should be willing to hear additional
And how many
information,
times
and
do you do
then-
that just to shut me up?
I don't think I ever do just to shut you up.
Yeah,
I can very easily shut you up just by saying things I know you're not a fan of. You know, like I can absolutely shut you up very easily. Like, it's like all I have to do is like we could be talking about like, yo, yeah, and when this bill was signed in 1986,
Yeah.
you were like 43 years old, right? And then you go, fuck
shut
you
up,
and leave the room.
shut up.
I think
I was 10 in 1986.
when it comes to political stuff, I will sit and read a bill or read an executive order or read, because that stuff matters to me a little more.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
when
makes
it
sense.
comes to something like this, not that I don't
But
think
this is what I said to you earlier today. I'm like, you do a movie podcast.
okay, and I agree with you on that sense. I agree with you in that sense. When you framed it that way, I was like, okay, I do a movie podcast.
In order to have a
I probably
relevant
could have read it.
conversation, she didn't read the book.
Yeah, that is kind of silly.
And like, how do you make a movie and play a character that's so impressionist on
Sure.
young women and you don't read the book?
Yeah.
Or you don't meet the intimacy coordinator?
Sure. Now, I can tell you, given how slow I read, if I had started reading that filing today, we wouldn't be talking about this until the case is long settled. I'm a very slow reader. The problem is that I have a very vivid imagination. Like, I'm very good at picturing things in my head. So I will read a sentence 4 or 5 times because I'll be like, oh, that was kind of cool. Maybe I can flesh it out a little more. So I'm a very slow reader. So in this case, no, I did
You're
not.
kind of like that guy we tried watching today who took 25 minutes
Oh
just
my
to
God.
get to even talking.
Yeah. And so
He was very well spoken, but he just
Yeah.
wouldn't shut up.
Yeah. Now I do think that sometimes you're a little overzealous in your willingness to condemn when someone's like, "Well, I read a couple of news articles about it and some reports." There have to be trusted sources that condense things
Who?
when
Who's a
you
trusted source?
well, see, that's kind of the thing. You have to
Think of the world that we live in on
Sure.
January 22nd, 2025.
Yeah.
And you think of the last 12 years.
Mhm.
Who is a trusted source?
When I mean, when it comes to like an entertainment thing,
Chris, who's a trusted source? Last 12 years.
when it comes to like an entertainment thing, I would say I read a very lengthy and unbiased Hollywood Reporter article.
But this
about
isn't
earlier.
entertainment. This is legal.
Well, but they were still, because it touches on the entertainment business,
Yeah.
which is why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
They had a very lengthy, unbiased. I mean, the article was written by two authors, so I
But
have
how
to
do you know it's
assume.
unbiased?
I mean, well, because there was points made in both sides, and that's why if I'm reading an article and I kind of am like, they're really
Right,
only
but if you have
representing
two
one
people
side
there,
of
is
it.
that not an editorial? If you have two different people discussing a single
I guess
point,
it would probably be an
that's it.
editorial, sure.
And by default or by definition, editorializing is opining,
Sure.
right? So here's the point. The fact of the matter is this: there's some shit going down
Yeah.
with regards to It Ends With Us. Colleen Sullivan deleted all social media. Blake Lively's been silent. Justin is on the beach with his family, enjoying time with his family,
Sure.
saying he's trying to break away from the noise, just let shit happen, right?
Sure.
There's some shit going down. It will be interesting to see how it pans out. My prediction is that it's going to come out that there was an issue. Ryan Reynolds felt threatened by it, and that's going to be the cause of some conflict between he and Blake.
Sure.
I think that Blake Lively will probably. I think that we'll maybe see A Simple Favor 2 end up going straight to streaming.
It's already going straight to streaming.
Is it already
Yeah.
going straight?
It's going right to Prime Video.
Because they've already said that they will not. Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively have said that they
Yeah.
will not promote the
And-
movie together.
And now,
Which is a terrible move considering what's happening right now.
yeah, I'll be honest. I was critical of that move in how like Blake Lively was involved in and not promoting the movie. Now, if it comes out that I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying if it comes out that Justin Baldoni's a fucking demon and he was doing all this shit, then I will be more sympathetic to her decision to stay out.
And
of
I'll
the
be happy to
limelight.
admit that I was wrong.
Yeah, I'm
100%.
Yeah, I was. Well, I will say you don't usually admit you're wrong. You just stop saying the thing.
Okay, first of all, anyone who knows me knows that I don't have a problem admitting.
Well,
when
yeah,
I'm
no,
wrong.
you don't have a problem.
Until I'm proven that I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I'm right.
It's usually you've gotten Tony on one when you'll be talking about a thing and he'll go and like you'll
And
hear
I'll just
typing,
do something else.
You'll hear typing, and then he'll be really quiet, and then I'll go, "Did you read that article?" And he'll go, "Yep," and then just
I'll
and then
just
he
be
goes
quiet.
about his day, and I go, "You know what? I can accept that."
Yeah. And that's from being in a relationship with a narcissist.
That's like
for
that
6 years.
Eliza-
You
that's
just
like-
kind of shut your mouth.
Well, that's kind of like that Eliza Glazier bit where she's like, and the guy told me, "I can't tell you I'm in love with you," and she's like, "I'll take it. You
Yeah,
said it. That's
yeah.
good enough."
You said
for
it.
me."
That's good enough. I may not have said it in the form that I wanted to hear it, but the reality is, and to circle back, I mean, we had that thing, and we warned you at the beginning. We warned you at the top that there's going to be a little bit of what appears to be conflict, but it doesn't affect us from a relationship standpoint. But the reality is it's either going to play out in court or it's going to be settled. And I think the reality is, based on where we are now,
Yes,
at this moment, it's more destructive for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
sure.
At the end, if it comes out that Justin Baldoni is this horrible monster, I hate to say this, but it's almost like it's a loss, right?
Sure.
Because he's not this. I don't know. To be fair, I think he's bigger than people give him
I
credit.
mean, but
He's not Ryan Reynolds.
No, and I mean, listen, he's not like an unknown.
But
But
we've
he's
lost
not
someone who
huge.
has a persona that is supportive, empathetic, and everything that I think men of my generation should be.
Sure.
Jason and Travis Kelce are another example of men that I think are a great example for young men growing up
Yeah.
on how to treat women, how to treat each other, and how to be open with your emotions.
Yeah.
And I feel like Justin Baldoni has had that persona. And so I think that the devastation that will occur either side
Yeah.
will be more heavily on Justin just because he's lived this persona of
Yeah,
I love my wife so much that we can just stare at each other for 5 minutes and it works for us, right?
sure.
And things like that. And I hate to see that, but I'll recognize if it comes
Yeah,
out that he's this
yeah,
monster, that
yeah. I mean, it's like I
it's
said.
disappointment.
It's like I said to you earlier. I think that one of my all-time heroes in life and as a child was Luke Skywalker. That doesn't change the fact that sometimes I think to myself, God, I wish Mark Hamill would shut the fuck up. I just wish he would stop it. I will say, separate of the whole legal case, not really separate because it is kind of involved, but separate of opinions on that, whatever. The whole nice pool thing is, to me,
It's the ultimate passive aggressive
it's
behavior.
the ultimate passive aggressive thing, but it's one of those where people are like, well, they can't do that. Bro, yes, you can.
Yeah, no.
There's
Here's the thing. If Ryan Reynolds is going to feel like an idiot if Blake Lively has pulled the wool over his eyes,
sure.
right? And that nice pool thing, let's put it this way. There's a persona of Ryan Reynolds as well that exists.
Yeah.
And in my head, I just said to myself, well, yeah, but if that's the case, I'm sure he's going to go apologize to Justin. Here's the thing. That's probably not going to happen.
No.
That's
No,
not
for
going to
sure
happen.
not.
He got him fired
For
from
sure.
his agent. He threatened to punch him. But, to me, the most telling thing, and I'm just going to say this and we can continue moving on. The most telling thing is that in the apartment, in front of Ryan Reynolds, in front of Taylor Swift, in front of his producing partner, and in front of Sony studio representatives, Ryan Reynolds told him to apologize.
Yeah,
And he said, I can't apologize for something that I didn't do.
sure.
He could have said in that room, I'm sorry, and nothing else happened.
Sure.
Come on. Like that to me, is like,
I'll be so real, and I'm sure you're gonna roll your eyes at me. That doesn't really sell anything to me.
oh,
because
you've got to be kidding me, dude.
in my
You
mind,
have an opportunity to save what is left of a
Sure.
career by in front of two of the most powerful people in Hollywood
Sure.
and studio heads from one of the most powerful studios. And all you have to say is, I'm sorry. Even if it's, I'm sorry that you felt that way. Not, I'm
Sure.
sorry that I made you feel that way.
Sure.
And it's not going to leave that room.
See, the only thing I can think is from both angles of it. Of A, he's innocent, and he's like, I'm not going to apologize because I didn't do it.
Or B, he's that bold
guilty
and thinks
and
he can
he's
get away
like,
with it.
because
Yeah.
that is
That's stupid though,
if
dude.
we're looking at a situation where if he is guilty, that is textbook abuser
But I
behavior.
need
to
you.
be
But
like,
that is
no.
not abuser behavior.
To
Because
straight up be like, I didn't do
behind
that.
closed doors, that doesn't happen. Behind closed doors, you're gaslighting and you say, I'm not going to apologize. She needs to apologize to
Sure.
me. That is what an abuser would
Sure.
say.
I can see that reaction being beneficial to either. So that doesn't really like to me say like, oh, he's innocent or oh, he's definitely
I'm
guilty.
just saying that for both of them to say there was an opportunity for him to apologize and he refused.
Yeah.
That to me, from someone who goes to therapy once a week, from someone that deals with all of these things, from
Sure.
someone who has been in a serious relationship and now a best friendship with someone who has dealt with abuse and has been a victim, it's like he would if you are a true abuser, you're gonna gaslight the shit out of the person that you've abused.
I guess. I mean, it also I hesitate to like ever say something like
My
things
ex would have gaslit
Sure.
me in that situation.
I always hesitate to ever like paint a situation in any way that makes like
For
a
the
group of
record,
people
my
seem
ex
like
was a woman. I just want to put that out there.
like that makes a group of
I
people
am,
seem
I am
like
a straight heterosexual man.
No, you're a woman.
Oh, that's right.
I
Thank you, Donald J. Trump.
I always kind of hesitate to say things that like kind of paint any group as like a
Is he
monolith.
asleep in there?
No,
Okay.
because like it's easy to be like, oh, well, an abuser would. Everyone can be anything, I guess. You know what I mean? So
Look, like I said, if it comes out that he's this monster of a
Yeah.
human being, I will eat crow, and
sure,
on the podcast, I will say I was wrong.
sure. And I mean, I'm openly in this moment saying like, while I don't feel necessarily super convinced one way or the other, unfortunately, with the
But
way my
I
brain
want
is
you
wired,
to understand, I'm not asking you to be convinced
I
one
know.
way or
Yeah,
another. I'm
I believe that.
simply saying, in this kind of a situation, when we have an opportunity to use our platform to discuss this
Yeah.
and ultimately say we believe the victims, this is bad, right? If Blake Lively is lying in this civil complaint,
Yeah.
every victim moving forward has taken 10 steps
Oh
back.
yeah, I mean that's that's a horrible blow
Right.
to victims.
So we start in the same place. We want to believe the right thing,
Yeah.
right? And that is people wouldn't lie about something so important.
Sure.
So ultimately, it comes down to what happens in the end.
Yeah.
And realistically, it's Hollywood. We may never know.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
it looks to me like it's a narcissist off,
Sure.
which means which narcissist is going to give in and either drop the suit or settle sooner,
Sure.
right? And unfortunately, it's Hollywood. We may never know.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a really, really big indicator during the process.
Sure.
So I think there will be a lot of logical, reasoning based opinions
Yeah.
near the end.
Yeah, I mean, my fear in situations like this is always that, like, and I've said this in the conversation with that it's going to become another Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, where by the end of that whole thing,
Johnny Depp's a piece of shit,
Yeah,
but
by the-
Amber Heard is
but
dealing with some problems
Sure.
upstairs.
by the end of that whole thing, there was evidence that they both sucked, but only one of those people is still getting work.
Yeah.
And I hate that kind of thing happens.
See, but here's the thing. I don't necessarily hate that kind of thing happens.
I saw the puppy.
Oh, Jesus. Because I don't know. I have a soft spot that are dealing with substance issues,
Okay.
right? And I have a soft spot for people that are dealing with trauma.
Sure.
And Johnny Depp has a lot of that shit before he became famous, before he started working in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
And I agree that he at times and even potentially now is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But did he deserve the things that she did to
No,
him?
no, absolutely
No,
not.
right? But the problem is you can't look at that situation and go, who's the victim?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Right?
I agree.
I think there's going to be an ability at the end of this to look and say who the victim is.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I don't really know.
I don't think there's anybody who can look at Justin Baldoni and say he's a piece of shit. And I think that there's enough people that can look at Blake Lively and go, she's not that bad.
I guess my problem is, like, being that I don't know Justin Baldoni personally, I have no ground to look at him right now
He's
and
a
say,
good dude, man.
I have no ground to look at him right now and say he's definitely a piece of shit. But I also don't have
You want to
any
invite
ground.
him on the podcast?
No. I don't know that we are equipped to handle that.
Why not? Just talk to him.
But I also don't have the ground to be like, well, there's no way. You know what I mean? So I'm just at the point where
I've never said there's no way.
I know.
he
No,
can be a
I'm not
piece of
saying
shit.
you. I'm not saying you have.
I know. I want to point out to anybody that I've never said there's no way he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, you have.
What I've said is the persona in every situation that you know the guy
Yeah.
is he's not a piece of shit.
Yeah. No,
right?
you definitely haven't, like, just outright excluded the possibility that he's
Yes.
done anything wrong.
I
No.
thought my ex-girlfriend was super great. Turns out, not so
Turns
much.
out, maybe not.
$35,000 later. Yeah, so I think it's interesting to me. I haven't seen something play out in Hollywood. I think this goes past Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Because Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were in a relationship and it was clearly a toxic relationship
Sure.
before anything was even filed.
Okay.
But until the movie was in the can and set to release, you didn't have any idea that anything was going on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It did kill me though to know that he didn't get his cut of the film. Because I wanted to be a director. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Sure.
Right? Directors always have final cut.
Sure.
And just to read the conversations and how with the editors, the conversations and the editors saying we're locked out of the editing room. We can't even get in.
Yeah.
And then to hear them say, I hear from one of our inside sources that she's putting more of our cut in because her cut didn't test very well.
Yeah.
And things of that sort. It's like, I can only imagine how it feels for those people who have worked with someone who impressed upon them a passion for the project, and it's turned into wear your florals and let's get some wine,
Sure.
you know. And that was where I think she fucked up, was this whole let's make it like a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad to see Taylor distancing herself,
I mean, I think regardless of if
knowing
there's
that she uninvited Blake to the game this weekend and instead invited Caitlin Clark. That to me,
oh, is that how that whole thing
yeah,
happened?
that's how the whole
Okay.
thing happened.
I mean, my thing is, I feel like regardless of you know who's guilty or who's not or
Yeah.
whatever in a case like this, it makes sense that she would be like, hey, like not while you've got like an active thing going on, you know?
Yeah, but and the thing that sucks, and you have to say this, but where there's smoke, there's usually fire, you know.
Sure.
And so there may be a level of piece of shit on either end. The problem is that after reading all 179 pages, the preponderance of the evidence, for me, is heavy in favor of the guy who is sounding hurt and saying, you know what, I really, as long as the movie's seen and the message gets out, like that is a constant through the evidence.
Sure.
I just want the message to get out. And even in the interviews, before we knew there was shit going down, he's like, you know, we just want to make sure that it's about domestic violence and blah, blah, blah. And stick to that message and stick to that message. And he stuck to that message. And that for me is what makes it really easy to go, come on, Blake, let's be honest. Some of your choices were pretty shit. Using an abusive alcoholic ex as a way to promote your alcohol brand, that's, you know, that's pretty tone deaf.
Yeah.
So things like that stick out to me as massive red flags. And again, there's a court system in the United States for a reason. It may be shit.
Not maybe, it is.
But we'll see an outcome at some point, and it'll
Sure.
be interesting to me which way it goes.
Yeah.
So it sucks because I kind of love Ryan Reynolds and that whole man love. Like, I want to hug him and squeeze his Deadpool butt cheeks.
I don't care about Ryan Reynolds either way, I'll be real. I've for a while now kind of been like,
You know what? For someone who watches movies and does a movie podcast, you don't form very many relationships with actors or characters.
Yeah, you know, I kind of like
Unless they're in
no,
Star
I do
Wars.
with characters for sure. My thing is, I kind of almost, it's kind of like the same way I feel about politicians when I talk about politics with people, where people will be like, "Oh, I really love this politician."
Yeah, but 78-year-old white men are completely different.
Shut up and let me finish my thought, you fucking freak. I say all the time, when people are like, I love this politician. Politicians aren't athletes. You shouldn't love a politician. You should be holding a politician accountable. Same thing for me with actors, where it's like a separate the art from the artist kind of thing. I preemptively do that because so many people in Hollywood suck. But oh my god, it's 9:01. We spent a long
Yeah,
time
but we
on that.
started at 8:07.
Yeah.
Our episodes are normally an hour and 20 minutes long, but
Yeah.
somebody had a soapbox.
Yeah.
And so.
See, we're getting
Oh,
we're
okay.
getting opinions.
Is everything okay, Chris, or is that why you need to go?
That's not what I wrote. Whatever just came
What? Okay. Either way, I think
Give me
through. It
a
auto
B.
corrected.
we spent a little longer on this specific topic than I think even either one of us realized
Yeah.
we were going to. But I mean,
Okay, real quick. Point aside, it'll play out in
Sure,
court. We'll have a
yes.
conversation about what happens.
Yes.
Real quick, big thanks to Glitch Energy.
yes,
Big thanks to Space Panda Delta.
I can't throw the graphics up fast enough.
Oh,
I
sorry.
will say
Popcorn, use our code, save 20%. Also, make sure you support Chris. Coffeedudescoffee.com. We're going to kind of cut it short. Chris has
Yes.
some shit he's got to go do, and we want to respect that.
I will say
Thank you for letting us have this conversation.
the preemptive thank you for that conversation running long because it'll make everyone laugh. I was supposed to try my new glitch flavor in milk because it's supposed to be really, really good in milk.
It's
But
strawberry banana flavor.
Because we ran longer than we meant to, the milk is almost hot at this
Ew.
point. So thank God I don't have to drink that milk anymore.
All
Look
right,
out
guys.
for a Twitter review.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to us ramble back and forth. I love these conversations.
Yeah.
Say a prayer for America, and we will see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Say a prayer or don't, whatever you do. Say a prayer, blood sacrifice. I don't know.
Feel free to drop us a nuke. Drop us a
Nope,
line.
nope, nope,
Drop us a
nope,
line if you want
nope,
to say hi.
Nope, not that one.
Wait,
Not,
what?
Definitely, no, don't worry about it.
Oh,
You
nothing.
don't, no, you don't want to know what
What'd
he's
you
saying.
say?
No, he's just, you don't want to know. He's ruining 8 years of your hard work. Don't worry about it. All right, well, thanks for watching. We love you guys. Thanks for joining.
Listening.
We love my mom and dad especially.
Thanks for listening.
I know we've got a lot of other viewers out there, but mom and dad, you're the #1 viewers of Popcorn Tribunal. You're the #1 in our hearts, the #1 fans. Michael's mom and dad merch incoming maybe someday. Who knows? But we love you guys. Thanks for joining us on this frigid ass Wednesday, which is crazy
Freaking
because we're in
cold.
New Orleans, so you
Right?
would think it'd be warm here.
Well,
There's
no,
7
no.
inches of
There's a
snow.
blizzard running through here now.
Yeah, there's a huge blizzard. We're gonna go play ice hockey
Yeah.
on Bourbon Street. That's actually what we need to get going about. All right.
Bye,
no,
guys.
no rant tonight.
Aw.
Okay, fine. I'll rant tonight.
Short rant. You got some time.
Here we
Do
go. Tony's off the microphone. So here's why I think we should murder just. I'm kidding.
it. And
I don't
next
know.
week we'll be coming to you live from Canada.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to let us in. They're going to take one look at
See,
this
I
body
knew
of
it.
work and they're not letting us in.
Told you they wouldn't let
Kidding
me in.
But, you know,
Okay.
I don't know, you know.
I'll do it. I'll take up hockey. I'll do
I
it.
don't have a ton to rant about. I feel pretty good this week, actually. I've been looking over some of the new D&D rules for the 2024 Player's Handbook. They've made some pretty interesting updates. There's a new Bard College that I'd love to try, the College of Dance. And I'm a fan of that because I think there should be more colleges of bards that aren't just about musical ability, because I have none. But I also can't dance. So
Bards aren't just about musical ability.
that's what I'm saying. There should
Bards
be
are
more
about
classes.
poetry.
There should be
and
more classes
acting.
that reflect that. And right now, if I don't want to be a singing bard, I've got to be a diplomacy bard? It's bullshit. I got to do fucking College of Glamour? Come on.
All right, bye, guys.
All right,
Have a good
bye.
night.
Love you.
Bye.
Toodles.
I'll text you when I'm home, Mom and Dad.